Hello and welcome to Show Sunday, as today is the first Sunday of the month of April. And it is my turn, and today we watched Great Pretender, the first 5 episodes, aka the first case of Great Pretender. So this was a show that popped up on Netflix late-ish last year, and I watched it in around like very beginning of this year. Just because, I don't know, looked kind of interesting. From some of the promo stuff I saw, and I liked it quite a lot. So I was like, okay, let's show this off to you two. So, give me some initial thoughts.
The art style's so pretty! I like the art style and the music selection. I also find it interesting, Alan, you said that how it's supposed to be with the dub is that the first episode is actually subtitled, right?
Yeah, so the first episode, the first like half of the first episode is like the languages that would make sense in real life, where the Japanese characters are speaking Japanese, and then there's a French guy, but then the French guy and the Japanese guy, they talk like kind of broken English to each other, right?
Yeah.
And that, so that's kind of the beginning, but then in that halfway through, there's sort of this switch where it's like, okay, we're just going to have everything, well, either be in English if you're watching the dub, or be in Japanese if you're watching the sub going forward.
Right.
And I kind of wish they like kept it throughout the whole show, because like when you were watching this, there were several times they were saying like, oh, your English is improving, and it's like he's just talking like an American, like that doesn't really work as well, right? So there's that, and then there is stuff in some of the later cases where like language plays a bit more into things, because again, this was in LA, so like, English was kind of the main thing anyway, but there's stuff in later stuff where it could work, and like they do still play with some language stuff later on. For example, the final case involves Chinese people, and the Chinese people are like speaking Chinese and it's subbed, but then the Japanese people are speaking in English dubbed, and it's like, wait a minute. So it's like there's a couple things that like are kind of weird in terms of that, and because honestly, okay, so the first case is in LA, the second case is in Malaysia, and the third case is in London, and the fourth is, again, it's like China, Japan. It's multiple things going on, but anyway, so like a lot of that would be English anyway, right? Malaysia speaks mostly English, and London speaks English, of course. So, I feel like it would, if you could make this, from like a, an American perspective, you could turn this into the thing where like the language is actually like correct or whatever. So I get it from like probably a production standpoint. It's a lot easier just have it all be a language, and they're probably like, oh, it's easier to follow for some people, but I don't know. It's like a very small thing that like it doesn't really make it worse, but it's just like, hey, this is kind of a neat thing, and then they kind of stop doing the thing. So, yeah, but...
Yeah, I think that it would have been more interesting if they actually kept that up, especially since it was in the first episode, which is supposed to lure you in and stuff, so if they tried it there, it would have made more sense for them to have continued it.
Yeah.
But I also really enjoyed the story and the characters, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really sucks you in terms of like what's gonna happen next, and you legitimately like don't. I mean, like there's this sense like they're probably going to succeed, right? Because that's just sort of the nature of these kind of things. But like you really don't know how, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like it legitimately surprises as things go along, and that I say that continues for like all of the cases. It's like legitimately, kind of surprising about this stuff.
Yeah, because like in the beginning, it was like, oh, okay, this is too easy, and then like as it kept going, I was like, oh my god, he dug a bigger hole for himself. What the hell is he gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah, so the story, like, I think the whole time it kind of keeps you on your toes a bit, and again, even if you think, like, okay, the quote-unquote good guys are going to quote-unquote win, but, like, how is a big question, so...
Yeah, especially during, like, in the 5th episode, there's this one scene where you're, like, two main characters that are main characters, like, die, and you're just like, what? Wait, that can't be, though.
Yeah.
They got Swiss cheese, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even a spoiler, because it's like, that they're not dead, but it just makes you more curious how they pulled it off.
Right. Yeah. And I do like how, well, I guess I won't say that because it's spoilery at the moment, but yeah, and I definitely agree with like what you said about like the visuals though. Like the color use, especially for the backgrounds, a lot of it is like really it's really intense. Which like sometimes you might think it would be like a bad thing because it's sort of like distracting, but they seem to use it at moments where like not too much is going on in the foreground visually, so you can just sort of look at the backgrounds and that's fine, and it helps with that a lot. And again, I think a lot of the color use is really interesting with like the shadows are often like really purple, and like especially how they do water is like really interesting with the colors. So, and that definitely the second case in Malaysia I think is like the best in terms of color. Which if you see that, you will understand what I mean.
I wonder if I'll recognize like the location, because I mean I was like around that area when I was growing up as a child, so I want to see if I recognize any of the sites.
Maybe, I don't know. I can't comment on how accurate it is. I've never been.
I'll say that they got the flatness of the certain flat. Well, I was gonna say the flatness of LA in terms of like the skyline, but then they didn't get the hills of LA.
I guess they didn't like go around that much.
Yeah.
I mean, they got like how literally they say the first thing that happens in LA is giant traffic jam, which is like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
So I remember when we went to LA, I think there was this point where we had to go to our hotel, and the train station was like, what was it, like 3 blocks away, and we were like, well, we could totally walk that, that's fine.
Those were the worst 3 blocks I've ever walked in my whole life.
Blocks up this really steep hill.
Oh.
Never regret anything more. Because we were thinking like, because we're used to like New York City, so 3 blocks there is not that bad because everything's
all flat. Yeah, it's not flat over here.
No.
Curses.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
So one thing that I do think that's kind of nice, and this is something that I've seen like a lot of like other anime kind of doesn't necessarily do the best job, but this, granted, I don't think they're really trying too hard to do this, but like you can actually like really clearly tell like that people are like of different races. A lot of time that's kind of hard to tell, where it's like, here's just a person, and you're like, okay. I mean, your name is like something that I guess would be Japanese, but I don't know, so you can clearly see the difference between like, Edamame, haha, and, Laron and Abby and, everyone else. You can tell that, like, there's a difference there, which, that's nice.
Yeah.
And I do think, especially like the following cases, there's sort of like an element of the cases that expands on one of the other characters more.
So I guess this was Edamura's
yeah
little thing. So I guess
I mean, there's gonna be more for him, of course. He's still the main character for all of it, but
yeah.
I mean, do you want me to tell you or?
Sure.
Okay. The next one has a bit of expansion on Abby. The London one is an expansion on Cynthia, and the final one is an expansion on Laurent.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Because he's supposed to be the most mysterious one, I think, out of the other.
Mr. French guy.
Yeah, Mr. French. And of the 4 main characters, too, like, even though we didn't get to really see Cynthia with the group and stuff until the very end, like, they all work off each other, like, really well and stuff. And I think that dynamic is also what sells the show, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite at the moment?
I don't think at the moment. I like all of them equally.
Just not kind of enough at the moment, really. Especially the other people besides Edamura, right?
Yeah.
That's fair.
I just really wish they kept Laurent's, like, French accent, because, I mean, I just feel like it would fit him very well.
Yeah.
If they maintained it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like all of them, too. I think if I had to pick, I'd pick Abby. But, because there's some interesting stuff that's revealed with her.
Ooh.
Actually, okay,
like you said, the next case is about her too, right?
Yeah. Well, okay, here's a question. Can you guess what her ethnicity is?
I couldn't really tell.
Maybe South Asian? Perhaps they're South American?
I just felt like the accent she had wasn't quite like, Latina, so I don't think she's like that.
I'll give you a hint.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's interesting.
So she's, for those, anyone else listening, she is actually, I mean, I guess this is technically a spoiler, but not really. But she's Iraqi, actually.
Oh, okay.
So,
oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You can guess kind of where this might be going.
Oh gosh, she's probably, oh no, she's probably a refugee.
You'll find out. Yeah. So, yeah, and then I assume Cynthia's just American. I'm pretty sure she is. But yeah, I think the characters work off each other well. It's an interesting dynamic. Again, it's also like, well, I don't know. Each case is very much its own thing. Because you know how he said that, like, at the end he's like, give me a couple years or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually like that many years pass by, but like a good amount of time actually like passes before like the next case. It's not like, oh, next week they do something. So that kind of helps with the sense of like, progression or whatever in this too. So yeah, I do think like, because it is in total 23 episodes, so it's not that long. And I do feel like I can see the argument that like because this is one of those things that could kind of theoretically last forever, right?
Yeah.
You just keep having cases come up over and over. And it doesn't. It does have an ending. Although there is like kind of a tease at the very end, as if like, oh, there could be more, but like I'm pretty sure that's not the plan. So whatever. But it is something that like, again, I don't know. It's like, I can see the argument like, oh man, I want to see more, but at the same time, if they think they're done with the story, then they're done with the story, right? So it's one of those things where it's like,
in a really weird way, it kind of reminds me of DuckTales, like I don't know about the new version. I haven't watched the new.
As someone who has finished the new version, I was like, explain. But okay, go ahead.
The older version. In terms of like the cases and stuff, there's like little adventures and stuff like that, and they can span over different like episodes. It obviously there's no conning and stuff like that, but it kind of just reminded me a little bit of like one of those like it's like a show that you would watch on like a Saturday morning in cartoon, except maybe a little bit more mature.
A little bit.
Saturday morning cartoons for adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think I think it's good. It's kind of one of those things where it's like I'm still not like if I were to, because again I have seen the whole thing. If I were to like give it a rating, I'm actually not 100% sure what I would give it. There's one thing I'm kind of iffy on, but it's like it is a small thing. And you haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to say what it is.
Okay.
And it's not even that bad. It's sort of like, do they need to do that? Okay. But it's again, it's one of those. It's sort of against the point where it's like, how good is it? Right? It's not, does it do things bad or anything? It's just how much do I actually get invested? And so like, I'm kind of like right in the middle. Like, do I give it an 8 or a 9? In terms of like what I'm actually thinking about it, because I don't think again there's that one little thing, but besides that everything else is done quite well. It's just sort of how much do you get into it, right? So, but yeah, I definitely recommend it a lot. Again, I've seen a lot of people really like this a lot. So yeah, I think if you're interested and you're looking for something as an interesting plot, interesting characters, just gets you invested. I think I watched the whole thing in like 2 days or something, just because I was like, I want to keep watching it. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's really good, and if you thought this first case was good, then it keeps going. So, yeah. So are you intrigued to watch more?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I probably can't binge it this week, but maybe sometime in the future.
That's fine, yeah. Again, it's on Netflix, it has all of it, so... I know there was something where, like... Because I think originally Netflix released, like... because again, the first.
They did it by case, I think.
Well, I think it was
right?
no. Okay, so there's 4 cases. So this first case was 5 episodes. Case 2 is also 5 episodes. Case 3 is 4 episodes. Then case 4 is 9 episodes. And they release I believe they released case 1, 2, and 3, and then several months later they released case 4.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't really know why. So that is a little bit weird. I think it would make more sense to either just do all of it or to do one case, wait a month, another case, wait a month, another case or something.
Yeah,
but
I thought they did that.
I don't
because
think
I
they
remember
did
people
that.
talking about it.
Maybe they did that for the Japanese one, but for English or worldwide distribution. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I mean, but now it's all there now, so we'll watch it now, I guess. So
we basically, with this, gets our seal of approval. Please go watch it.
Yes.
Me and Luke will be going.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Because there's things to talk about. And there's a couple character moments and stuff that I'm curious to see what you'll react to. Anything else anyone has to say? Anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I guess then it's time for the wheel to get back to our normal movie schedule. And so, the thing before this we watched was Looper, and so I had a replacement. And honestly, I was really stuck for what to replace this with. I had a bunch of maybe this, maybe this, maybe, I don't know. So I just looked at the list and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Idiocracy. Let's watch it. So, I put on Idiocracy.
Dear, that does not sound like a pleasant time.
No, well, you'll find out.
Is it purposely unpleasant?
I don't know if you would describe it like that.
But what kind of description would you give it?
Well, the whole point is that it's a future where everyone's really stupid. And
I mean, we're living that reality.
Well, that's
right
what
now.
people have been saying. So that's the whole thing, where it's man, back in I think 2007 when this movie was made, people thought, wow, this is so ridiculous. And then since then, it's god damn it, there's stuff that's in this movie that actually makes more sense than what's in reality. So.
They were a bit too generous in 2007.
Yeah, you'll see a cultural milestone. I think it's entertaining, so you'll see. It's definitely very different from my other pick, which is Soul. So not the same, but anyway, we have to see what we get next up, and it is going to be Ice Pick.
Oh, it's my movie. Eighth grade.
Yep. Even though, again, this is a movie that I have seen.
I'm going to assume that this movie is going to take place in
8th grade.
It's actually 9th grade. It's all a lie.
What?
No, it's not.
Or it's 7th grade.
No, it is 8th grade. Yeah, I liked it. I watched it on a plane, actually. Trying to remember which plane. It might have been when I was actually either coming to or coming back from visiting you.
Oh.
Maybe.
Interesting.
I don't remember.
I mean, I've only ever heard that this is one of those pretty good coming of age movies for teenagers, because teenagers tend to have really shitty movies.
Yeah, I would say this does feel pretty realistic in terms of how people of these ages would behave.
This was made by a smaller studio, right?
Yeah, I think so. And it was directed by Bo Burnham, actually, which is interesting because he's usually the big funny man. But well, it's not like there's no comedy in this, but that's not the angle. So yeah, hopefully you will find it interesting. So that's what we have next week. All right. See you guys then.
Bye.